From fear to faith, the first step to changing your life. There is a story that echoes through the centuries, a universal narrative that transcends time and space. It is the story of all of us, of you who are listening now, of the one walking the bustling streets of great cities, or the one seeking answers in the silent mountains. It is the story of fear and faith, two invisible forces that guide every choice, every step, every breath we take. From the moment we wake up to the instant we close our eyes to sleep, we are confronted with these two opposing realities. Fear tells us we are not enough, that failure is inevitable, that the outside world is a hostile place. Faith, on the other hand, whispers something different, something we often struggle to hear. It tells us we are more than our limitations, that the impossible can be achieved, that the future is shaped by what we dare to dream. Imagine a man named Thomas Edison, who faced 1,000 failures before illuminating the world with his electric light bulb. Imagine a young man named Walt Disney, fired from his first job because he lacked imagination. Imagine Abraham Lincoln, defeated in so many elections that he seemed destined for obscurity. These men, like so many others who left their mark on history, were not immune to fear. They felt the crushing weight of failure, the corrosive doubt that gnaws at the foundations of the soul. But they also embraced faith, not blind faith, but conscious, deliberate faith, built upon a clear vision of what they wanted to accomplish. It was this faith that propelled them beyond the limits imposed by fear, transforming them from mere individuals into architects of new worlds. You may be wondering, how can I, with my doubts, my fears, my emotional scars, find this path? How can I take the first step when everything seems so uncertain? The answer begins with a simple decision. Deciding that fear will no longer be your guide. Deciding that, despite all the inner voices screaming for you to give up, you will choose to move forward. That is the first step. The step that separates those who live at the mercy of circumstances from those who shape their destiny. It is not an easy step. In fact, it is probably the hardest step you will ever take, but it is also the most crucial, because it opens the doors to a new reality, a reality where fear still exists, but no longer controls your life. To deeply understand the power of this transition, we need to explore the very nature of fear. Fear is not just a fleeting emotion, it is an ancient survival system rooted in the core of our being. In the early days of humanity, fear was vital. It warned us against predators, drove us to seek shelter, and helped us avoid deadly dangers. But today, in a world where lions and tigers have been replaced by deadlines, meetings, and social expectations, fear often becomes our greatest enemy. It distorts our perception, amplifying small challenges until they seem insurmountable. It paralyzes us, convincing us that any risk is too great, any change too dangerous. And gradually, it robs us of the ability to dream. But here is the liberating truth. Fear is not absolute. It does not need to dominate you. On the contrary, it can be transformed, converted into fuel for your journey. When you understand this, something magical happens. You begin to see fear not as an obstacle, but as an indicator. Every time you feel fear, it is pointing towards something important, something worth pursuing. If you're afraid to start a new project, to change careers, to express your feelings, or to start a business, it does not mean you should give up. On the contrary, it means you are touching something significant, something that can change your life and perhaps the lives of others as well. Now imagine for a moment that you have decided to face that fear. Imagine that you are willing to move forward even if your hands tremble and your heart pounds. What happens then? This is where the role of faith comes in, the other side of the coin. Faith is not simply believing that everything will work out. It is much deeper than that. Faith is the certainty that, regardless of the outcome, you are growing, learning, and evolving. It is the confidence that every step taken toward the unknown is bringing you closer to who you truly are. And this faith does not arise from nothing. It is cultivated, nurtured, strengthened by the daily practice of thoughts, attitudes, and actions aligned with your vision. That vision, by the way, is what gives shape to faith. Without a clear vision, faith is like a ship without a compass, drifting aimlessly in stormy seas. This is why the next step on your journey is to define exactly what you want. I am not talking about vague dreams or superficial aspirations. I'm talking about something specific, tangible, measurable. Ask yourself, what do I really want to achieve? Who do I want to become? How do I want to impact the world around me? These questions may seem simple, but they have the power to unearth deep truths within you. They invite you to dive into your essence, to discover the purpose that beats in your heart. And when you finally find that vision, something extraordinary happens. It becomes a driving force, an energy that propels you forward, even when fatigue tries to knock you down. It becomes the lighthouse that illuminates your path on the darkest nights. But here is the secret: vision alone is not enough. It needs to be accompanied by discipline, the discipline to act every day, even when you don't feel inspired, to persist when results don't appear immediately, to learn from mistakes and adjust course without losing direction. Discipline is what transforms vision into reality. It is the muscle that sustains faith and keeps fear in check. Remember Andrew Carnegie, whose vision of an industrial empire was sustained by years of hard work, meticulous planning, and strategic collaboration. Remember Steve Jobs, who saw the potential of technology to transform lives and dedicated his existence to materializing that vision. These men were not superhuman. They had fears, doubts, and failures, just like all of us. But they knew that the key to overcoming those obstacles lay in their ability to remain faithful to their vision, day after day, year after year. So what will you do today? What will be the first step you take toward your vision? Perhaps it will be something small, writing a list of goals, talking to someone you admire, studying a new subject, or perhaps it will be something bigger, leaving an unsatisfying job, investing in an old dream, confronting a complicated relationship. The size of the step does not matter. What matters is that you take it, because every step, no matter how small, creates momentum. And that momentum, over time, becomes an irresistible force. But there is something else on this journey that cannot be ignored: gratitude. Gratitude is the glue that binds all these elements together: fear, faith, vision, discipline. It is the recognition that even in the hardest moments, there is something to be thankful for. Perhaps it is the lesson learned from a failure, the opportunity to start over, the support of a friend, the simple fact of being alive. Gratitude transforms our perspective. It helps us see the hidden value in difficulties, the beauty in imperfections, the potential in adversities. When you cultivate gratitude, something surprising happens. Fear begins to lose its power over you. It does not disappear completely. After all, fear will always be present, but it ceases to be the center of your life. It becomes just a dissonant note in a greater symphony, a passing cloud in a vast blue sky. And faith, on the other hand, grows stronger. It expands, filling the spaces once occupied by fear. It becomes your constant companion, your most reliable ally. Along this journey, you will also discover another essential quality: adaptability. The world is constantly changing, and those who thrive are those who can adjust to new realities. Think of Henry Ford, who revolutionized the automotive industry by introducing the assembly line. Think of Elon Musk, who constantly reinvents his companies to face unexpected challenges. Adaptability does not mean abandoning your vision. It means finding new ways to achieve it, adjusting your methods without compromising your principles. And of course, there is resilience, the ability to get up after every fall, to keep moving forward even when the path seems endless. Resilience is not about never failing. It is about learning from every failure, extracting wisdom from every mistake, transforming every defeat into a valuable lesson. It is about remembering that, in the end, what defines you is not how many times you fell, but how many times you got back up. This journey of transformation is neither quick nor easy. It requires courage, patience, and perseverance, but it is also incredibly rewarding. Every step taken toward faith, every victory over fear, every moment of gratitude, and every lesson learned adds a new layer to your life. It becomes richer, deeper, more meaningful, and gradually you begin to notice that fear is no longer your enemy. It is merely a teacher, a guide leading you to the next phase of your growth. So here we are, At the culmination of this narrative, you have heard stories of great figures who overcame fear and embraced faith. You have reflected on the role of fear in your own life and the transformative power of faith. Now it is your turn. Now is the moment to decide what kind of story you want to tell. Will it be a story of fear, of self-imposed limitations, of postponed dreams? Or will it be a story of faith, of courage, of extraordinary achievements? If you choose the latter, and I know you can, know that the first step has already been taken. Yes, the first step is this decision, this conscious choice to not let fear dictate the course of your life. From here, every subsequent step will be an extension of that choice. Every challenge faced will be an opportunity to strengthen your faith. Every success achieved will be proof that you are capable of far more than you imagined. And when you reach the end of this journey, because yes, there will be a glorious end, you will look back and see something incredible. You will see that the fear that once seemed invincible has been transformed into unshakable faith, that the obstacles that once seemed insurmountable have become stepping stones to success, that the person you have become is far greater than the person who began this journey. Therefore, I invite you now to make this decision. Choose faith, choose growth, choose transformation, and above all, choose to believe that you are capable of changing your life. Because in the end, it is not the circumstances that define who you are. It is the choices you make every day. And every choice, no matter how small, has the power to change everything. This is your moment. This is your time. Let fear transform into faith, and watch as your life changes in ways you never imagined possible.